10 seasons ago, Pocomoke's legendary leader, Susan Pusey, unexpectedly passed away weeks before field hockey began. As her family, colleagues, and student athletes like myself feel this void in our hearts, we unite to heal and honor her legacy. Pusey's name is cemented in national field hockey record books and enshrined at Pocomoke High School Stadium. Her inspiring messages and the principles she lived by are not only etched in novels, but they remain a driving force in the minds and hearts of thousands in the Delmarva community. Over the next half hour, we will reflect on her Hall of Fame career and life, as the chapter of Susan Pusey in Pocomoke will never close.
Now, WBOC News at 6, Delmarva's news leader.
Pocomoke City is mourning the loss of a community leader. Longtime Pocomoke High School field hockey head coach Susan Pusey died today. It's a sudden loss for the tight-knit community in Worcester County. According to the family on Friday, Susan had knee surgery. This afternoon, she died from a blood clot. Susan Pusey was 56 years old. In her 22 seasons with the Warriors, Susan won 16 state championships. That's the second most in Maryland public school history.
This morning, friends, family, and former players came together to say one final goodbye to a local legend.
It's a parade through the streets of Pocomoke, normally reserved for when a team wins a state championship. Today, it's a much more somber environment as the community comes together for one final parade for Coach Pusey.
She is Pocomoke. She's a legend. She's an icon. There's not enough words I could possibly say to describe her and her impact.
It was her faith, her family, her friendships, and her field hockey, in that order. She was an inspiration to everyone that she knew, or everyone that knew her.
In 1987, 29-year-old Pocomoke High grad Vienna Susan Bird Pusey joined her mentor, Pat Westcott, coaching the one-time Class 1A Maryland state champion field hockey team. Susan's son Trevor remembers why she stood out from the start.
The words that I would use to best describe Mom would probably be passionate, loving, strong-headed. Everything she did, she gave 110%. If she was going to do it, she had to give her all. She was a strong believer, and if you could picture it, if you could believe that it was possible, you could make it happen.
Susan's brother Dave saw her ignite a desire to compete in every young warrior, like her nieces Julie and Jody Bird.
Susan gave them a field hockey stick when they were in the hospital out of the wound, so they got field hockey sticks then, and they grew up with a field hockey stick. It was just something that they were going to do, and she made sure of that.
The tradition was just everyone in Pocomoke was supposed to play field hockey. Aunt Susie always taught us to love the game and know what our role is, and it was always team, family. It was never individual. Our youth program in Pocomoke was just amazing. So she had us out there every Saturday morning, Salvation Army League. It was third graders versus eighth graders, and that's why we were all so tough, I think, because we played the ones that we wanted to be like, and I think that's how the tradition has continued in Pocomoke.
In 1994, Susan won her third state championship as head coach, and the Warriors made history, achieving an undefeated and unscored upon season.
We set goals, they came out to achieve them. I knew this year was going to be a good year, but I never dreamed of having an unscored upon and undefeated season.
Perfect season is something I treasure and will always remember. Being at the field and watching everybody go crazy afterwards, and now looking back, I know how big a deal it was. The ball never crossed that goal line.
In the beginning, we didn't even think about not being scored on. It wasn't really talked about because we just kind of left it alone because we didn't want to talk about it and jinx it. But I think having that same common goal, we want to be state champions, and working together and working hard at practice every day. That was probably, and I would think Aunt Susie would say the same thing, one of the best skilled teams she's coached.
We played together as a team, we talked together as a team, and this has been by far the best year of field hockey at Pocomoke High School.
I don't know, words can't explain it. It just feels so great. It's just the best feeling in the whole world.
And that was just the beginning of a dynasty. The Warriors captured 5 straight state crowns from 94 to 98.
The whole team played a fantastic game. Every girl on that field played their hearts out and played awesome. I'm very happy with them. I'm very pleased. They couldn't have done any better today.
Her expectations of her players is what made Pocomoke field hockey good. She instilled values in us, being dedicated, being disciplined. She expected them to come out and work hard every day. She expected you to have that pride in putting that Pocomoke jersey on, pride in your team and respect for your teammates, yourself, your coaches.
State champ from 94 to 97, Brandy Shobe-Castaneda looks back in awe of Pusey's endless dedication.
Coach Pusey was the hardest loving of them all. She hard love, soft love, motherly love, teacher love. She loved in every way possible. But she gave you the kind of love you needed that day, and just continually evaluating every need of every person. Balancing 30 young girls' lives is not an easy task. And I feel like with grace, she answered every day with the promise and possibility for each and every one of us.
And I'm so proud of all of you. I will greatly miss you. Keep in touch. And I can't say any more, because if I do, you know what's going to happen. There she goes.
In the first 15 years of Susan's career, Pocomoke made 13 state tournament appearances.
There's teams that Aunt Susie coached that weren't as skilled as some of the others. She still got them to win. They bought into her philosophy, and that being mediocre wasn't okay at Pocomoke. Sometimes, it's the hard work that's going to win and not the talent, and that's just a Pocomoke tradition.
I think Mom's biggest gift as a coach was her ability to look at somebody and not see who they were, but who they could be. And she pushed them and got them to strive to be that rather than just be satisfied with where they were.
They did a fantastic job. The whole team. It's not just 11 that's on the field, it's everybody else behind us that supports us too. It's great to have everybody there.
In the 2001 to 2002 school year, the 3 Bird siblings coached PHS to a triple crown of excellence.
And the Pocomoke Warriors are the 2001 1A Boys Soccer Champions.
Allen's soccer team, Dave's boys basketball squad, and Susan's hockey girls all lifting state trophies.
It's a Bird thing. All of them very hard on all their athletes, and you don't get better if you don't expect everybody to rise to the occasion. If you get a compliment from one of them, you know it was deserved. They're not going to tell you played good if you didn't.
We were competitive, but blood is always thicker than water. We backed each other. They were cheering hard for me in March because they'd already won the state championship. We had our normal parade.
We are the champions. We are the champions.
The whole town down Market Street is there waving at you. It's a great experience.
Junior on the hockey team at that time, Jenny Roberts remembers Pusey inspired her hockey daughters to reach for the extraordinary.
And just thinking of her saying, I have all the faith
in the world that you can do this.
Now, I've learned to believe in my own self, in the way that she believed in me, the best that I can. And that's the best gift that anyone could have ever given me.
Mom had a successful team that she was coaching one year after the next, after the next, after the next, and she was building a legacy.
But somehow, Pusey's greatest streak yet was still ahead. In 15 years, Susan Pusey propelled Pocomoke field hockey to 9 state titles, and the Warriors were rising to national prominence. But it was the journey through those seasons and the lessons Pusey instilled along the way that left the greatest impact for generations to come.
Head coach in her 14th year, Susan Pusey.
2003 sophomore Jamie Brittingham recalls how Pusey taught the team to overcome adversity after losing 12 seniors and falling in the state semifinals a year prior.
Be thinking about what could we have done better? What was this? Let's talk about, let's evaluate. How can we make sure that we don't do this again? When everyone writes you off, no one thought we were gonna come back from that. But we knew our team, it's just not giving up and always pushing through and that not letting that defeat define you.
That season, Pusey and PHS began their greatest streak yet. Earning 8 consecutive state championships from 2003 to 2010, the run ranks 2nd in the state of Maryland and tied for 3rd in the nation.
even the state championships, and all those games were close games. She was probably the one coach that could get more out of a student athlete than anybody.
Not only did she make us believe in ourselves, but if you have 12 girls on the field that all are feeling the same thing, together we could achieve greatness.
Congratulations to Pocomoke on winning the Class 1A state championship.
No one was going to beat our desire to win. Right. Everyone had all their different levels of skills that they were good at. Everyone played an important part, and like the scorekeepers, equipment guys, they'd be like so in it, like they were on the team. She really made everyone feel included because it was a family.
Longtime PHS athletic trainer Kim Baker cherishes the memories alongside her friend Susan.
She wanted them to be great field hockey players, but she also wanted to instill in them how to be good people in life. My favorite picture that I used to always take was her right before the clock went to 0, and you could see the pride and the tears would start to come because she just had such love, and you just knew what that meant because there's so much work that went into that moment.
Who's gonna win? Future. What's gonna be the score?
Class of 3-0, 4-0, or 5-0.
Coach Pusey's lessons shaped my life as I grew up dedicated to the game and determined to keep the winning tradition alive. When we won the 4th state championship in a row, I could feel how proud she was of me. Aww. What she was teaching us, she wanted it to continue on throughout our lives, and it really does. It wasn't just about Pocomoke field hockey for her, it was every single person. And she showed that when she would support us on our next steps of life beyond field hockey. Susan developed athletes on the Eastern Shore year-round, giving them collegiate opportunities by co-founding a travel team with St. Peter and Paul coach Debbie McQuaid back in 1997. Those national showcase experiences helped build Taylor West into Pocomoke field hockey's first All-American.
There was never really an off-season for her. We would take trips to California and Florida, so she was gone some holidays from her family, and those are times that you can't ever say thank you enough for those sacrifices that she made.
West battled through injuries throughout her high school and college careers, but Pusey and Baker believed she would reach the pinnacle of the sport.
Making the national team was always kind of a goal in the back of my mind. Kind of in those hard times where I was injured and I wasn't able to play, they were really a positive influence. Kind of kept that light in the back of the tunnel kind of for me to keep working towards that.
Over Susan's remarkable career, field hockey never topped her true loves and biggest supporters, husband Danny and sons Trevor and Dylan.
They were always first, and somehow she weaved them around to be part of field hockey too.
Teamwork applied in all places. Mom was a school teacher, so she had off during the summer, and she would have some field hockey stuff, but that's when Mom watched us. When fall time came around, field hockey season, that's when Dad watched us, and they worked together as a team. They always did. My oldest daughter is named Vienna, which was actually Mom's first name. And we got to tell her that we were going to be having a girl. And she had always wanted to have girls growing up because she wanted field hockey players. Her reaction was just pure joy. My two oldest, the very first thing they got was a field hockey stick handed to them from my mother. She actually put number signs without a number because she never knew what number they were going to be. We see my mom in our daughters so much. It's almost like Mom is still with us to an extent.
In 2014, Pusey's final season,
we finished hard, playing with all of our heart, and we played as warriors. Fantastic game, girls. Proud of you.
Pocomoke made a state finals appearance with assistant coach Brittingham and freshman Peyton Becker.
I couldn't wait to be out there being a Pocomoke warrior and a hockey player and playing for Miss Pusey, and I was so excited just because freshman year was so good. I was looking forward to all the rest of the other years of my high school career. And she'd always say Peyton's the light at the end of my tunnel, so when I'd graduate, that would be when she'd retire.
During the second week of 2015 Summer League hockey, Susan underwent a knee surgery.
We had texted her hey, we love you, you're gonna be out, and you're gonna do great. And
on July 19th, 2015, the heart-wrenching news of Pusey passing away suddenly from a blood clot.
I think I literally collapsed on the ground because I just started, I think I started screaming because I didn't want to believe it. It's we were just out here talking about Vi and how she's gonna grow up and be a hockey star, and
it's an overwhelming feeling to know that she's not here anymore. And I just remember telling the girls, because I was like, I can only imagine how they were feeling, because I was just, devastated. When you start to feel sad or how you think you can go on, just remember all the amazing things that you learned, all the things we're talking about that I know they had experienced.
After her passing away, she taught me that I need to take a step back and live every day like it could be your last. And so that's probably the biggest thing that she's taught me, and she didn't even know she taught.
She shared her belief with God and her faith, and so it's hard for me to miss her, and I miss her terribly. But I know and believe where she is. I know she looks down on us.
Being the pastor at her funeral, when I heard how many people were actually there, that they actually ended up filling the school up and the count was, at least 1,000 people, it blew my mind. The support and the love that the community had for Mom was just so amazing and just confirmed everything we already knew about how great she was.
That this fall, we will christen Pusey Field at Byrd Stadium.
Pusey Field at Byrd Stadium. It's amazing to be able to take my daughters there and to say, hey, look, there's a picture of Grandma. They love it. It's such an honor to be able to know that that is there in memory of her.
Coming up, how Pocomoke processed grief and faced their greatest loss while becoming Pusey strong. In August 2015, Pocomoke was mourning the loss of their hockey mom, as field hockey was played without Susan Pusey for the first time in 28 years. The Warriors competed with a greater purpose, sharing an unbreakable bond and upholding a tradition of excellence built by Pusey.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I ask you all to please rise out of respect for the late, great Susan Pusey. We want to do a moment of silence this evening.
Pocomoke experienced one of the greatest voids in our history. I mean, all of a sudden we're faced with making decisions. How do we go on? For a lot of us, that's to sit back and reflect, and I just felt compelled to act.
When Aunt Susie passed away and they asked me if I would come coach, and it just wasn't going to work for my family living in Del Mar, and I said that if anybody else was going to do it and it couldn't be me, that I would rather it be Brandy.
It was on my heart heavy. I don't consider my shoes and hers to be anywhere near the same size. My feet are much smaller, but I was like, I'm gonna jump in here and at least take the reins so that things continue for these girls, because that's what she would have wanted.
It was just heart-wrenching to have to step into it, but at the same time, it's almost like Aunt Susie guided her through it.
Longtime assistant coach Castaneda now leading sophomore Peyton Becker and the Warriors as they united through enduring tragedy.
It was a lot about emotional, it was a lot about listening, it was a lot about care. Everybody was mourning in their own way. Walking off the bus and hearing her name first thing before the national anthem was enough to send chills through your body.
We'd carry a red heart balloon with us to every game when we go, so that's her way of being there. The adversity, oh, you just lost your coach, there's no way you can come back from it. And we totally took that adversity and turned it around. We had something to fight for, and we had something to prove.
If you could have put that team in comparison to others, I'd say it was probably one of the top 3 in Pocomoke's history, but it was Pusey driven, it was Pusey fueled.
Miss Brandy was saying, guys, you have no idea, but the dream is alive. You guys can do this.
We had no idea that our dream to win a state championship would mean so much that year.
4 months after Coach Pusey passed away and 4 years since capturing a state title, Pocomoke persevered.
And on the final buzzer of the final game, I think all of us were just kind of numb that it had come to the end that we had hoped in the best possible outcome considering our situation.
Earning the program's 19th state trophy.
It's just emotional, we're so happy that we won, but we would have wanted her to be there too. But she was with us the whole entire game. We could feel it.
The final score, Pocomoke 5, Patuxent 0.
It means absolutely everything. It brings closure to the mission that we set out there in August. It's the basis for our very being here as a unit and a P unit together.
There's no way to close the chapter of Miss Pusey, and we've never closed it. In fact, that's what this is all about. That's why we play, that's why we do, that's why we coach, that's why we give back to the youth.
A couple weeks before Mom passed, she actually sat in the living room of her mother and said, we're going to be state champions again this year. Flat out, there was no question. And she just didn't make it there to see it herself, but it still happened. And I'm so proud of those girls, so proud of Brandy for stepping up, maintaining that passion, maintaining that dedication, and becoming the people that Mom saw them to be before they were there yet. And I'll never forget the tears that were shed. There was so much joy between me and my dad and other relatives.
In 2016, another dream foreseen by Pusey coming to fruition. As Taylor West became the first Warrior ever to make the U.S. women's national team.
I think I cried for 3 days straight, and all I could think of was just, I cannot imagine how Miss Pusey right now is just celebrating and having to know that you put the hard work and the effort in and it's going to pay off.
Number 11, Taylor West.
So being able to put on the USA jersey for the first time is like a surreal experience. Miss Pusey definitely had a huge part in helping me to get to that moment from when I was 4 years old, starting with her camps. Just the work ethic and competitiveness of those practices that Miss Pusey was able to pull out of us, that fire and determination, and allowed me to incorporate those into whatever training setting I was in.
Susan's legacy lives on through her athletes and family. Julie Bird Bradford building generations of Delmarva field hockey talent through the Shorebirds Travel Club.
When you come out here and you put a Shorebirds jersey on, you got to have pride in what you're doing, and it's 100% all the time. And those are the same things that she instilled in us.
It's so rewarding to see the number of Pocomoke players that are coaching with us. Everyone wants to give back to the game, and that's because Aunt Susie taught us that.
This season, Jody, her daughter Jordan, and Delmar Field Hockey are aiming for their 9th straight Delaware State Championship. A streak that would break Pusey and Pocomoke's record that ranks 3rd in the nation. Susan's other great nieces were a part of Delmar's dynasty.
We just play for her every game, and it's just amazing to think about all the people that she impacted and taught the game.
Senior Morgan Bradford playing for Delaware, just like Julie and Jody did.
I have a wristband, the Pusey Strong one that everyone got when she passed away, and it's on my shoe, and I never take it off. So just continuing to honor her through playing when she can't be watching, even though she is watching, I would say.
While Josie Halliman and Macy Bradford are sophomores competing for Maryland.
Just her spreading her knowledge with us and always ingraining it in our brain to work extremely hard on anything we put our minds to is really what we took away from her.
I grew up in Pocomoke. I watched Aunt Susie, I watched Casey play, Kirsty, who also went here. Just so many great people who've been coached by my family, and they always wanted the best for us, and that's why I am the player I am today, because they pushed me like nobody else.
Jordan will join Josie and Macy at Maryland next year as Susan's former player and Pocomoke grad, Casey Tapman-Asper, is leading the Terps as assistant coach.
I would not be in the position I am right now if it was not for Susan. I thought I was going to go play soccer when I was little, and she kicks the soccer ball away from me and gives me a stick and goes, "You won't need that, you'll need this." And from that day on, I fell in love with the sport. She made us not only love the game, but love each other, and we'll always be a family, no matter what. I think that's something that Josie and Macy really bring to this team.
The one thing that I wish is that Aunt Susie could see them, and I could just picture her standing there just being so proud and smiling. So that makes it a little bit easier, because I know she would be so proud. But the selfish part of me wishes she was here to see it.
This season at Pusey Field at Bird Stadium, Brandy Castaneda and Peyton Becker are teaming up as coaches.
Do you believe?
Even though the girls, they didn't play for Miss Pusey, they still know of who she was and how just big of an impact she had on myself, on Brandy, just the team and this whole town in general. Those family moments, those big heart moments where you just get goosebumps, we know that she's around, and they recognize that too. So they're putting their heart into it just as much as Brandy and I.
As PHS strives for their 22nd Maryland State Trophy in program history.
Play for the girl that you were when you were watching Pocomoke field hockey. And it always makes me cry, because when I was little, I was watching Pocomoke in 2015 when Miss Pusey passed away. And
It just makes me want to play for all the other girls that are watching.
I look forward to my daughters, and I already have seen it through the Futures program, stepping out on that field that is named after their grandmother.
Pusey boasts an 85.42 winning percentage over 391 games.
And she had no intention of stopping there. It's heartbreaking to know that she didn't, but that's okay, because to her it wasn't about that. It was about making the differences in people's lives. She was 56 when she died, so there was plenty more life there to live, and she still had that big of an impact.
So then now it's our job to take those things, right, and shine her light that she instilled in us, and to make other people feel loved and empowered.
In January 2025, Vienna Susan Bird Pusey will be inducted into the National Field Hockey Coaches Association Hall of Fame.
I long, especially being a pastor, to be able to bring out the best in people. That was a gift my mom had.
The one goal, one dream, our pride, our team is still the cheer we use before every game. We say the Lord's Prayer, and then it's followed by one goal, one dream. Because I wanted everything that I do to honor and reflect and just carry on the tradition. Coach Pusey not only affected field hockey, she affected the entire community around her. I hope I can have that kind of impact. But truthfully, it's not something you go out there and goal set to do. It's just who you are. And that's who she was, is somebody who, she is Pocomoke.
1, 2, 3!
I'm really going to miss you, but I always want you to do your best, and I love you so much, and I'm really going to miss you.